What do they not tell you about being solo? You see a ton of lawn care people and landscape people on YouTube talking about having a solo company. All the advantages, all the things they love, all the freedom, all the lack of stress and anxiety from employees, and all the different things you come into. With that though, what is not being said? What is not being said about being a solo company? If you've watched any of my videos for a while now, you know that I'm an advocate of growing your company, growing its potential, growing the opportunity you bring to your employees by having more employees and therefore allowing there to be management and other things where employees can continue to climb up the ladder of success within the company. So obviously there's two different views here, but I really want to stick out and harp on the things that I don't think people talk about enough, and they're really, really important. Number one, you can't multiply. That might sound silly. You're gonna look at this, and if you watch my stuff, you're also probably gonna be like, oh man, he sounds like Grant Cardone. You can't 10x it, right? Well, it's the fucking truth. You can only do so much as a solo operator and one helper. You know, if you really truly want to exponentially grow your company, you have to build a team, at least in a service business, maybe in some digital software, but I mean, really, in any business. The more I think about it, the biggest and the best companies have teams. Let's get right back on track. You can't multiply your efforts. When I come into the game and I show up to work today, if it's just me, 100% of what I do is what it's going to create the revenue. If I don't work, if I don't produce revenue, do a billable project, no revenue comes into my company. But as you get team members, you're able to multiply your time. You're able to multiply your capacity, multiply the things you can do. And you know, a lot of people will be saying, well, it kills all my profit and it makes it so hard and it makes it this, that, and the other. Well, yeah, it's gonna be a lot harder to have employees. There's gonna be a lot of challenges. You're gonna have to learn to be a leader. A lot of people get into this, like if you read The E-Myth, great book if you want to grow your company, read The E-Myth by Michael Gerber. But he says that people get into business from entrepreneurial seizure or technician seizure, meaning that I'm really good at my job. I work for a lawn care company. I'm really good at mowing good lines and straight lines and all that shit. And so I eventually realize, hey, I'm not getting paid enough. They are making all the money. I'm good at this. I'm going to go do it myself and make all the money. And so they have this thing of thinking that being good at the actual technical aspect of doing the service means that they're going to be good at having a business. And those two don't technically correlate. There's so much more to having a business than just being good at the service. There is this whole other realm of running a business where it works well. So knowing all of that, knowing that there's so much to know, and that that technician seizure, like a lot of times that's why people don't want to scale their company, because they were never prepared to be a leader, to learn, to grow, to have employees. I'm not saying that you have to do that, but without all of that, you can't multiply. So it means you can't make as much money. And people will talk about how you go out as a solo person and your profit's great. Obviously, your profit's going to be great. You're able to manage everything and be hyper-focused on being efficient. You know, there's going to be money in the scaling of your company, and you're still going to have to watch the profits. The profits are going to get hurt by ineffective employees. They're going to be hurt by, once you get big enough, and you start have to hire management that doesn't actually produce anything. But without those things, you couldn't have the potential you have to do with it. Okay, you know, you think about it. How much can you and a person make in a year? How much can you and a team member make in a year if you maybe call it solo and you have one helper? You know, is that 100? Is that 150,000? Is that in that ballpark? Well, think, if you're a business owner, you could probably make that much in a business for yourself. Yes, there's going to be a lot of stress, but I think that everybody should be making 100 figures plus that owns a business. It's a lot of stress. It's a lot of challenge. But if you follow some of the things like we teach in GrowCom, that's why we're having our big training here on October 14th about scaling your company, because I want to see people get to those numbers that truly allow them to get paid 6 figures and more, making 100,000 a year and owning a business. I personally think that if you own a business and you don't make 100,000 a year, it's not worth it. Now, some people could be super effective and maybe they're cranking it out and maybe they're making almost 100 grand a year as a solo person, but like it's just such a challenge. 100,000 is only the beginning if you're growing a company. You can make 100, 200, 300, 400 million a year for yourself. And what does that mean for all the people around you? Because as you make much more money, you're able to help more people. A lot of people look at me and watch this video and say, oh, you're greedy, you just want money, you just want money. I want money because it allows me to help more people. Money is not the root of all evil. The lack of money is the root of all evil. Money is a magnifier. If I'm a good person, it magnifies the good. If I'm an asshole, it magnifies the asshole. If I'm horrible and bad and I want everybody else to lose, it magnifies that. So whatever you are, it's going to make you more of. Okay? So if you're a good person, money is not bad. And for me, I want to help my team. I got a person sitting right here next to me, office over doing estimates. I got a person over from that, taking calls and bringing in new work. I want to see those people succeed. And if they aren't growing and if they aren't making more money, which if I can't make more money, surely no one else in the business is going to make money. You should be looking to owners that are doing well for themselves, because that means their team is probably going to do well. So that's just number one. You can't multiply. You can't have all the scale. You can't have all this opportunity to make more money and really contribute to all the things around you, inspire and help other people. So you can't multiply, number one. Now, two, this is where this gets exponentially more about money, right? You totally hamper your long-term earning potential for a multitude of reasons, but for one, just because you can only do so much yourself. This sounds a lot like the first reason where we're talking about you can't multiply, but just I can't pound this into your head enough that you can only do so much yourself. So down the road, you are going to be living off of, like, it's going to be continuously harder probably to hit the numbers you've made, because you're still managing all this if you're solo, and you're having to continuously raise rates and do all these things and manage all this work along with produce the work. And it's just going to be a grind that gets harder and harder in business. And the reason that I feel like you exponentially hurt your long-term earnings is when you stay in that thing that's similar every year. You've created a job for yourself. That's not bad. If you like that, that's fine. But when you've created something that stays the same, if my business stayed at 500,000 in sales, and every year it was 500,000 sales, maybe we did 510 this year, and maybe the next year we did 490, then the next year we did 515, and then the next year we did 495, and it just planed right there. I'm going to lose all excitement for my business. It's not going to be challenging for me. It's not going to be something that I've got new problems, so I'm going to just get burnt out from the boredom of nothing changing. And I got to imagine being a solo provider, a little bit of that happens too, because you've lost the ability to change your business. That multiplying also changes your business. And all of this leads down to the road of you've hurt your long-term earnings, your potential to earn more, because the company's going to continue to scale. And I think that those long-term earnings are ultimately hurt by the potential burnout you've got. Everyone I know that's had a business that hasn't grown, we bought one a couple years ago. They didn't even want to have it anymore. They woke up and had the same problems every fucking day, every year. Same employee problem, same this problem. When you're going from 100,000 in sales to 500,000 in sales to 1 million to 2 to 4 to 10, your problems are going to change so fast that it's just going to be, you're not going to be like, oh my God, I cannot believe that I've still got the same employee thing. My employee problems are much different at, going on 3 to 4 million than they were when it was 500,000. It's a whole different ball game. And that keeps you excited. It keeps you jiving. So really, I think that's the extra little piece to this, is that I think that reduces burnout. Growing your company reduces burnout, because there's a lot of burnout to be had in staying stagnant and not going anywhere. And that's the same reason that I think that people get so much burnout in growing companies, is they try to grow it and then they can't, they just don't have the knowledge they need yet. It's not to their fault. Everyone's got to learn a lot. I'm still dumb. And I'm learning every day, right? So they didn't have the knowledge they needed to go from here to here, so they stayed stuck. And then they blamed it on prices and work and everything else. And then they went back down to where, since they knew this much, now they can go down here and make more profit. And they blamed it on the business. They blamed it on other things. They blamed it on the burnout of running a bigger business, when it was really just the stress of they hit a plateau and they probably didn't push hard enough, learn enough to get through the plateau. Now, the third thing, this is really the most important. Okay, there's people on here on YouTube that are shooting videos and they don't have a family. I've got friends that I know that make YouTube videos. They don't have kids, they don't have a wife, they don't have anything necessarily going on in the family aspect of their life. That's fine. My life would look much different if I didn't. But I do. I have a family, I have kids, I have people that work for me that have families and they have kids. And what the real issue here is with me knowing that, I've went through 2 near-death issues in my life. I also play some dangerous sports, race motorcycles. I've always been kind of an adrenaline junkie. If you can get me around something crazy, I want a piece of it. With that being said, you really have to think about what happens if you get hurt. So if you go all the way back to the beginning of this conversation, we're talking about how you can't multiply because you don't have other people to lean on. And it's just you. And you produce 100% of the revenue. Well, if you get hurt and you produce 100% of the revenue, you have exponentially multiplied the other problems we've talked about. You can't multiply, or except you multiply bad. You reduce your future earning potential because you are shutting the faucet completely off. It's just a lot to think about. For me, it's about protecting my family. I'm at a point now where both of my companies, I could get hurt and I could still, I'd have to be badly hurt to not be able to do what I absolutely had to do to keep them running. This takes a lot of work. And yeah, it is made me pull out some hairs. And I am nowhere near where I want to be. Like, I can't wait till we're doing 100 million in sales. I can't wait till we're doing more than that. But it's a process, and I enjoy every bit of it. And I know with what we're talking about right now, I come to work on Mondays excited to grow my company. Do you come to work excited to grow your company on Mondays? Think about these things. If you don't, are you burnt out? Are you pissed that you can't grow the thing and you're losing that potential to multiply your company? Are you just driven nuts by the fact that you don't think you're going to make enough money being solo, or you're worried as hell about getting hurt? Maybe those are the reasons you should jump on the train of growing a company that you can bring in a bunch of people and create opportunity for everyone. So these are my thoughts. I think these are the things that people don't touch on enough when they talk about being solo, especially that being hurt one, because it can change the direction of your life depending on what happens, depending on what happens to you and where you're at and what you have to do. So let me know in the comments below. Do you have a solo company? Are you thinking about growing? Have you grown, scaled, and then faltered and then downsized? I've seen a ton of that. Or have you just got totally massive? What is it that you've done? Can't wait to hear it later on.